If you move into a newly constructed home and it has problems, most people would take it up with the builder. But a Jackson County couple believes the government is to blame, and they say there's evidence to prove it. Investigator Ryan Kath looks into the legal battle playing out in Lone Jack. Ryan?
Mark, before you pull up the moving truck, there's a good chance a city inspector has already made several visits to your home to make sure everything's up to code. But who's accountable if those inspection records turn up blank? On the outskirts of Jackson County, there's a subdivision called Shiloh Estates. But to some, the neighborhood goes by a different name.
I don't live in Shiloh Estates anymore. I live in Shyster Estates, where laws are enforced by choice, and they've got my money, and now they're taking off with it.
Take a quick look at the signs decorating the front yard and windows, and you'll see Michelle Nelson and Rich Bowling aren't shy about their feelings. The couple says their first home purchase has been anything but the American dream.
There are financial institutions that are invested into these properties that don't know what's going on, that don't know the real story.
Bowling and Nelson moved into this home in May 2010. Almost immediately, they say they faced bills and insurance claims for plumbing problems, mechanical failures, and water damage. That's when Bowling went to Lone Jack City Hall to request permits and inspection reports for his home.
What was your reaction?
Shocked.
Bowling says many of the inspection reports on file were blank, and the home's final inspection was dated 2 days after the city had already issued a certificate of occupancy.
That's not Mr. Nosser's signature.
Bowling also claims there were 2 different signatures from City Inspector Jim Nauser. One that appears to be scribbled out as Jim on some documents, and another written in neat cursive as James on others.
I'm living in a home that has no valid documentation.
We reviewed documents for other homes on the same street and found a similar pattern. Inspection documents either partially filled in or completely blank, along with different signatures from the city inspector. We also learned Lone Jack had not notified Jackson County the homes had been built. When the couple's first tax bill arrived last year, it showed a market value of $22,000.
They had no idea there was a house here.
They had no idea any homes were out here in this subdivision.
As one of the signs in his window explains, Bowling and other neighbors then had to pay hundreds of dollars in back taxes. And despite a city requirement for businesses to provide a letter of good standing from the Secretary of State's office before receiving a license, we found the company Boulevard Builders has never existed in Missouri.
No one is holding them accountable.
The city is not an insurer of your safety.
We showed the documents to UMKC law professor Julie Cheslick, an expert in local government. Despite some of the concerns raised by the paperwork, she says it's extremely difficult to hold a city liable for the actions of its employees.
When the city acts to protect its citizens for the common good, it's not ensuring that it will be successful every time.
Bowling sent this letter of intent to Lone Jack in October 2010, but he has never filed anything in court. Meantime, Lone Jack's Board of Aldermen voted to fire Nauser as city inspector shortly after Bowling threatened that lawsuit. When I contacted city leaders for more details, I received an email from the mayor saying, quote, "The city has no interest in making further comment on the subject." A later email added, "The city is very comfortable with the building inspection processes and reporting protocols with Jackson County that are now in place." We tracked down the former city inspector who told us he's been advised not to talk. However, Nauser did tell me he signs his name both ways, sometimes Jim, sometimes James. And while he admitted to sloppy paperwork, he insisted he had done all inspections.
So sloppy paperwork does not a lawsuit make?
Probably not. Even a cabal of rogue employees does not necessarily make a city liable.
But more than 2 years later, the couple refuses to be silenced.
We're not going away.
They remain convinced their home was built with a foundation of forged and fabricated documents.
I feel that I've been taken advantage of. I feel that individuals involved are getting away with massive fraud.
The couple wants Lone Jack to take the home off their hands, but as you heard, that's probably an uphill battle. And what about the builder? Well, we tried door knocks, certified letters, phone calls, emails, and even Facebook. We never got a response. And Mark, the law professor I spoke with, said it's a good reminder to do your research on the builder on the front end to avoid paying the price later. In this case, it would have revealed that he was not registered in Missouri and also had some issues with tax liens and owing subcontractors money.
Yeah. Well, even on the back end of building a house, it's still a good idea, even on a new house, to get it inspected, right?
Seems like a no-brainer with an existing house, but some of the inspectors I talked to for this story said
They see a lot of people not do inspections on new homes. However, they have found plenty of issues with new homes, things that did somehow escape the attention of a city inspector.
Could save you a lot of money in the long run, maybe. All right. Good point. Thanks very much, Ryan. Now, this came from a viewer tip. If you've got a news tip for us, you can email the 41 Action News investigative team by emailing investigators@kshb.com.